Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Nintendo's first 2026 Direct. It's a partner Direct, which is a little deflating, but there's still some stuff to talk about, so that's what is going to be our main topic of the show tonight. We've also got some news stories and trailers to go over, unrelated to the Nintendo Direct. Nintendo Direct had a lot of trailers too, but there's also some other trailers. And we've got our On the Horizon segment where we're going to talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And that's where we're going to start, with our On the Horizon segment.
On the horizon. On the horizon.
This week, for On the Horizon, we're going to start things off with The Burbs. This is the TV show kind of remake of the classic Tom Hanks movie, coming on Sunday, February 8th to Peacock. This is with Keke Palmer, I believe, is in the lead role in this one.
Yeah.
Next, we have Romeo is a Dead Man. This is the next game from Suda51 and Grasshopper Manufacture. That is coming on Wednesday, February 11th to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, and hopefully somewhere down the line to Switch too.
Yeah. Suda51 said he's investigating whether they can bring the game to Switch 2. He said he would like to. He's not sure.
Grasshopper is not like a super techy studio.
Yeah.
So like the prospect of a port is hard.
Yeah.
For like a studio that's not like super techy.
Right. There's funding and resources. It's not all about 100% about, can the console run it? It's porting it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So
but you have some studios the kind of studios that like make their own engines and stuff like that are just like super techy and they can do a quick port like nothing, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then you have studios like Grasshopper that are more like an art studio, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't really have that
and they're relying on
technical sophistication.
And they're relying on like Unreal Engine, It's not like a homemade engine.
Yeah, like studios like that, they're just not as good at like optimizing things.
Right. It's hard when you're using like a third-party engine like Unreal.
Yeah.
Really, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, like most of his team is like artists and stuff. They're like, they're not as many like programmers and stuff like that.
But he said,
it's just harder
he
to
said
do.
He said he would like to support Switch too, but he doesn't know with that particular game.
Yeah. When I talk about it, I just mean it like, if this was CDPR making a game of that level fidelity, they have the resources that they could go like, oh yeah, sure, we'll just port it over.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like Capcom, Capcom go, yeah, sure, we'll just port it over, But Grasshopper, they're not, this is like a hard task for them to do, something like that. They're investigating whether they can do it in a reasonably okay manner, and if they can, then they will, and hopefully they do. This is just not like a shoo-in like some games are, where you just go like, oh, obviously it's going to come eventually. It's like, even if it's Switch 2 ends up becoming as popular as Switch 1 and stuff, like, it's still not like a done deal. It's like, it's hard work. Next up, we have Mario Tennis Fever, and that is coming on Thursday, February 12th to the Switch 2.
Yes.
Any interest in this one? I think a lot of people are more interested in this than like the last few tennis ones.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm getting it. I have it on pre-order, so I'm gonna be buying it for sure because it looks like a lot of fun. I was pretty impressed with the Nintendo Direct trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they put a lot into it, and there's like a story RPG mode now. So yeah, it looks cool. There was like a hands-on event at Nintendo recently. A bunch of people got hands-on with like some upcoming Switch 2 games, including Mario Tennis, and the impressions have been positive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. So
next up, we've got Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties coming on Thursday, February 12th to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. So this is, I'm not sure, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you might not know either. Dark Ties is like an entirely new thing, right? This isn't like an existing thing.
Dark Ties is, from my understanding, it's a new chapter, like a new DLC chapter to Yakuza 3.
It's not like a previous DLC or something. It's like,
it didn't previously exist as far as I know.
Yeah.
So Dark Tide's in it. Yakuza Kiwami 3 is obviously it's a remake remaster of Yakuza 3 in the same vein as Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2, which were remasters, remakes, whatever the hell you want to call it, of Yakuza 1 and 2. So continuing that, but Dark Tides is like new content, apparently.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, is this new content or is this like maybe a DLC chapter that they're like including with it or something that already came out, but like a long time ago? But I think this is new. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, I was pretty sure it was new. High on Life 2 is coming on Friday, February 13th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. It's also coming to Switch 2, but not till April 10th.
If you want a physical copy of High on Life for Switch 2, you gotta get through limited run games.
But that means limited run games doesn't do key cards, right? So that would be
No, yeah, it's a physical. It's all in the cart.
Yeah.
For High on Life 2.
We've got Reanimal, which has shown up in like, I think every Switch 2 Direct since the first one. It's finally coming out on Friday, February 13th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and of course Switch 2. Yeah, like I said, I think that's been in every single Direct, including the one we're about to do, since like the Switch 2 was revealed. So that's pretty crazy. Coming on Friday, February 13th. Wuthering Heights. This is coming on Friday, February 13th to theaters. This is with Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. I'm like, her name's slipping my head, and then it popped back in. But yeah, it's the classic story told for a modern day with music by Charlie XCX. So if that's appealing to you, then that's coming on Friday, February 13th to theaters. Also coming to theaters on Friday, February 13th, Cold Storage. We talked about the trailer for this one. This is one that's got Joe Keery from Stranger Things and Liam Neeson, and it's like about like an underground facility or something, and like mutant creatures and stuff.
That looks fun.
Yeah.
That looks fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Also coming on Friday, February 13th is GOAT. That's the CG animated basketball movie.
About a literal goat.
Stephen Curry, I guess, is producing it. That's coming also on Friday, February 13th to theaters. Also coming to theaters on Friday, February 13th.
The new Marvel movie? The new Thor movie?
Crime 101, which is Chris Hemsworth. It's a heist movie. It's also got Mark Ruffalo. Basically, we've talked about this before. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or we've just talked about it ourselves. But what's crazy about Crime 101 is I think every major player in the movie, like actor, is in the MCU.
Yeah.
And I think they're all confirmed for
they clearly
They
clearly just decided to make this movie in between filming Doomsday.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we're all here.
Yeah, pretty much.
We got some free time. Let's make a movie.
I mean, this kind of stuff happens sometimes when you have like a huge, massive movie with like a big cast and stuff. They end up doing stuff like that where it's like, oh, like, and they're in this other movie too. But that's coming also on Friday, February 13th. And then lastly, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is the new Gore Verbinski movie with Sam Rockwell.
I am so excited for this movie. You cannot believe it. I think like this is the movie I'm most looking forward to this year already because it looks incredible.
It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
It just, I'm happy that we're getting this kind of return to Gonzo type stuff.
Did you see how they released like a scene from the movie? The diner scene with Sam Rockwell?
I don't think I saw that, no.
Just
a bit that you see in the trailer.
Okay. I don't know if it's a full scene, but it's extended version of like the bit in the trailer where he's in the diner. And he's basically like, I've come back to this moment in time over 117 times now. He knows everybody in the diner, and it's real fun, and Sam Rockwell is great. I love Sam Rockwell. He should be in more stuff. I think he's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this movie.
That's Sam Rockwell. That's also Zazie Beetz is in it. She's in a lot of stuff coming up.
She's in a lot of stuff.
In that, what was that movie we talked about the trailer for that looks like kind of another telling of Ready or Not?
Oh, yeah. I forgot
too.
what that's called, to be honest. I can't remember the name of that. But yeah, she's starring in that. She's kind of blowing up right now.
Like I said, also coming on Friday, February 13th in theaters. That is, I think, 5 movies coming out that day. That's like the most movies we've had releasing on a Friday in a while. Like, significant movies, you know?
Which is sad, because, like, I have a feeling, like, this is gonna get buried.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have a feeling Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is gonna be one of those movies that, like, bombs at the box office, but that's gonna become, like, a cult favorite on, like, on Blu-ray and home video.
Or like on a streaming, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to become like a cult classic. I don't think this is going to perform very well.
I think the same thing's going to happen with Cold Storage, which also opens that day. I think both of those are going to get buried. And
Yeah.
I think it's because Wuthering Heights is going to bring in, the kind of romantic crowds, the romantic drama crowds.
Yes, they're looking for like something for Valentine's
Ghosts probably
Day.
going to dominate the weekend.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be like the kids' movie. And then Crime 101's it's a heist movie with a bunch of Marvel people. That's going to do well too.
By the way, like, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is currently 93% on Rotten Tomato, 43 reviews. So
Yeah.
it's revealing
it looks
very
good.
well. Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
But that's it for On the Horizon segment. And now we're going to move on to On Beat.
On Beat.
On Beat is going to be our main segment because pretty much everything we're covering in this podcast today is news. We're going to have a few news stories to go over, a few regular trailers to go over, and then we're covering the entirety of the Nintendo Partner Direct that
We're
just
covering
happened.
the entirety of Nintendo's big video game commercial advertisements.
Exactly. So it's a big segment this week, this news segment. That's where we're going to start with our On Beat segment. So our first news story, Damon Lindelof is set to adapt the book The Chain for HBO. So the story of this book, I haven't read the book, but I've read the summary of the book to get an idea of what it's supposed to be about. It's about a chain of kidnappings where like a child is kidnapped from a family and then in order to get their child back, they have to kidnap another child. And then the family of that child, in order to get their child back, has to kidnap another. And it's like this long chain event of kidnappings.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the foundation that Damon Lindelof is jumping off from. We know he's big into the mystery box thing. So I'm kind of curious where this is going to go with this. I'm a big fan of Damon Lindelof. I have been since Lost, but I've liked everything he's done pretty much since then too. I love The Leftovers, Watchmen, even Miss Davis, which was like a weird show that he co-ran on Peacock. It was kind of like a very underknown series. But this is him working with HBO again, like he did with The Leftovers and Watchmen, and seems like he's excited about this project. And I think it's his first show that he's solo running since The Leftovers. I think even The Leftovers he didn't solo run, so he hasn't solo ran anything in a while.
Yeah. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Our next news story, this is a big one. Brandon Sanderson, who's kind of like the it boy of fantasy authors right now, has signed a mega deal with Apple TV Plus. He has multiple fantasy series, multiple long-running fantasy series, a few standalone novels too. He is an insanely prolific writer. He writes multiple books a year. And he has just signed this deal with Apple TV Plus that so far is going to affect two of his series. He has a series called Mistborn, which I have read, and those are going to be turned into movies. That's a really interesting series. I'm not going to go into full detail about it because it would take forever. It's a very complex, weird fantasy series, a very interesting setting and ideas and stuff. But then he has a kind of more traditional fantasy series that's like kind of his most successful, that's called Stormlight Archive, and that's going to be made into a TV series. Now, what's even more interesting is that all of Sanderson's work, kind of like Stephen King, is all like interconnected.
Yeah.
Like they kind of stand alone, but they also don't. But whereas Stephen King, like you have like It and Misery and all these different like standalone book stories, like these are like standalone series that then also interconnect. It would be as if like Game of Thrones interconnected with Wild Cards, which is like another thing that George R. R. Martin has done, you know?
Yeah. Which wouldn't make any sense, but yeah.
Well,
To
it
be
wouldn't make
honest.
sense with the Brandon Sanderson stuff too. I'm not really well aware how they interconnect, but I think it is kind of in a Stephen King way. And the way it does in the Stephen King is there's
Well,
like
Stephen King does
multiple
like
universes and stuff.
Yeah, he does multiverse, which is like a really like easy out for say to be like, oh, these things that are completely different are connected. It's like it's another universe in my personal little multiverse. There are doors you just open, you go into it. It's like, okay.
I think that's kind of the case, but there are some kind of crossover things. I'm just not well versed enough in Sanderson to like know what any of that is. This is
I'm not.
something that I know about, that I know that it's
Yeah.
supposed to be interconnected.
I'm not like versed in Sanderson at all, so like I could help you there.
What's also interesting is that Sanderson has like significant power of approval on this deal, like
Yeah.
kind of unprecedented power of approval. So I mean, if this doesn't turn out well, you can pretty much put all the blame in one place then, right?
Right? Oh, yeah. And Brandon Sanderson, yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully...
Instead of, handing over the rights to Apple and then basically asking to be involved as a courtesy, which seems to be like George's deal with HBO. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you can be involved as long as we want you to be involved. You know, apparently it's ironclad, no, I'm involved. I'm making decisions.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. So it'd be cool to see how that shapes out. Because just because an author has control doesn't mean it's going to be for the betterment of the product.
No.
Good example. We talked about Stephen King earlier.
Shining.
Yeah, Stephen King in The Shining. Perfect example. Shining is probably his most famous work. He hates it.
Kubrick's Shining film is a brilliant masterpiece of filmmaking, and Stephen King famously hates it. Stephen King doesn't think it accurately reflects his novel.
He prefers the TV miniseries.
He produced that TV miniseries. That was his attempt to be well, let's make a more accurate version of The Shining. And it came out on TV and it's fine as far as TV miniseries go, but it's no classic.
Yeah.
By any stretch. So it's kind of that was a situation where you had a brilliant artist look at the material and elevate it, and Stephen King just couldn't see it for what it was.
So that's going to be the question.
Yeah.
Is Sanderson going to get in the way of somebody doing something really interesting with this, or is he going to help usher in something very interesting with this? We're going to have to see what side of the spectrum he falls on when it comes to that.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah. And this is also, I mentioned two properties, Mistborn and Stormlight. The deal's supposed to go well beyond that. This is just kind of the start of the deal. So this could be a whole bunch of different shows and movies and stuff. Maybe video games for all we know. Who knows?
Or it could be nothing if these projects just flat out bomb.
Yeah.
If they don't make any money, then it'll be nothing.
Yeah. Next up, we have Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a TV series. This isn't a Baldur's Gate series. This is Baldur's Gate 3 TV series.
Yeah, it's very specifically... Yeah,
and it's also not an adaptation of Baldur's Gate 3.
No, this is a sequel. So this is...
Baldur's Gate 3.5.
This is being set up as a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3.
Or what was the one Final Fantasy did? Final Fantasy X-2.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X-2.
This is Baldur's Gate 3.2.
When Square started doing direct sequels to Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this is being brought to us by Craig Mazin, who you might know his name. He was behind the HBO series Chernobyl and most recently The Last of Us on HBO.
Yep.
Which is going into its third season.
Third and final, right?
Yep, they're rumored to be the final. I think this kind of confirms those rumors. And it's interesting, for those who don't know, Baldur's Gate, it was a series of RPGs based on Dungeons & Dragons. There are 8 quintillion Dungeons & Dragons video games. You know, Baldur's Gate was special. The first 2 were developed by BioWare back in the day. People might know BioWare better as the developers of Mass Effect. And then Baldur's Gate 3 just came out recently, was developed by Larian, and came out to massive acclaim.
Yeah, it was the Expedition 33 of its time.
Yeah, it was the Expedition 33 of its year. Yeah, it won Game of the Year awards. It was very acclaimed. People love it. Larian is not doing a Baldur's Gate 4.
They had a pretty bad falling out with Hasbro, who owns the rights to Dungeons & Dragons and the entire franchise.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, that fell apart, and so I guess I knew because of the success, Hasbro was going to move forward with a Baldur's Gate 4. I just didn't think it was going to take the form of a TV show on HBO. But yeah,
probably both. We're probably going to get a separate Baldur's Gate 4 game as well.
Yes.
It's through HBO, which
I'm interested to see who they're going to get to develop a Baldur's Gate 4. But yeah, this is through HBO. I believe Craig Mazin has a deal with HBO. That's why all these shows are going through HBO with him.
Yeah, it's kind of a double seal quality, though. Craig Mazin's got a good reputation, and then HBO.
Yep, HBO. So, and again, this is not going to be retelling the story in Baldur's Gate 3. This is going to be a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3. So we're going to be following the characters from that game. Not only the characters from that game, but Craig Mazin said there will be new characters introduced that we're going to follow. after the events of that game.
Yeah. So interesting. Now they just need to bring it to Switch 2 so the rest of the people can play that game before the show comes out.
Another thing they pointed out, there's no Baldur's Gate 4 right now. There's no established storyline after the third game, so Craig Mazin and his writing team have free reign to just make up an original story. There's no blueprint to follow or anything.
Mm-hmm. It should also be noted that Craig Mazin, when he talked about this story that we're talking about right now, he said he had over 1,000 hours in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
So he is an active gamer.
Yeah.
Of course, he just following up The Last of Us, which shows he's, 2 game adaptations in a row, basically.
Not only is he 1,000 hours into Baldur's Gate 3, but he says he's been an avid, long-time fan of Dungeons & Dragons. He's been a dungeon master who has been playing the game every week for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
So he's pretty well versed in Dungeons and Dragons lore, so I don't think he's gonna fuck anything up in that regard,
Man, so we got multiple Game of Thrones shows going on at HBO. Now we got Baldur's Gate going on at HBO. Apple just made this huge deal for Brandon Sanderson's
Fantasy
work
is
with
coming
Mistborn
back.
and Stormlight. Yeah.
Just when we thought fantasy, just when we thought fantasy was on its way out, was getting passe, that whole
Amazon did its best to kill fantasy.
Yeah.
They did their absolute best to just try to destroy the genre forever, and now it's kicking back. So, yeah, crazy news. Now we're going to move on to our trailer segment of OnBeat. We've got 3 trailers to go over. This does not include the Nintendo Direct stuff. That's a whole separate thing. But we've got 3 trailers to go over, and we're going to start things off with War Machine, which stars Ellen Richardson. I can't believe I blanked on his name. Reacher. It stars Reacher from the Amazon show Reacher, who also played Aquaman in Smallville.
Yes, he did.
Anyways, this movie is Mecha Predator.
No, it's not Mecha. It's Metal Gear. He's Solid Snake and he's fighting the Metal Gear.
It just, plot-wise, if you replace the giant metal mecha thing with, an alien that makes himself invisible using camouflage.
It's an inhuman enemy, hunting soldiers in the jungle. It's the same setup, basically.
Yeah, it's like a modern retelling of Predator with, a giant mecha armor thing instead. Yeah, I mean, hey, I watch Reacher. I think he does a good job in kick-ass military-type roles. I think that works for him. He's got the right size for it. And he's got that kind of, old-school Arnold Schwarzenegger, big tough guy kind of vibe to him, So him doing something like that along those lines, looks good to me.
Yeah.
And we have Predator making a comeback as a franchise at the same time, so why not? Our next trailer is for Young Sherlock. This isn't like Young Sheldon. This isn't a comedy with a child.
This is about
a college age.
This is about college age Sherlock Holmes. What's interesting about this is from Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie directed 2 Sherlock Holmes feature films starring Robert Downey Jr. So it's assumed, or it's my assumption, that it's this version of the character. It's the Robert Downey Jr. version of the character, just younger.
It'd be weird if he had 2 separate canons with the same character.
Right? Yeah. So I'm assuming this is meant as a prequel to those films, specifically, and not just a whole new canon. Yeah, because, it would be weird. Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then we've got Exit 8, which is a new horror movie coming out of Japan based on the game.
Based on a video game that I didn't know existed until today.
Yeah.
I probably heard about it before, but I completely forgot about it.
There's a whole genre of games that are kind of like this, where you just kind of explore and weird stuff happens. It's kind of horror, but it's not really survival horror. It's I don't know, it's like walking sim horror.
These are Creepypasta, the video game,
Yeah.
Like a creepypasta story, you're in an endless subway and it doesn't end, and then you get to this one corridor and there's blood running down the wall and it's an anomaly, you're supposed to get out and now there's this creature chasing you. It's like one of those things, but they made it a video game. And the thing about these things is they do so well because
they're big streamer games, yeah.
Yeah, streamers will play them and the streamers will overreact to everything in the game, and it makes people want to buy it and play it themselves. That's how Five Nights at Freddy's blew up, was because of streamers.
Hey, we got that Iron Lung movie that Markiplier did, which is funny because not only did he act in, direct, and distribute. He's the distributor for that movie, the Iron Lung movie. But not only that, but he also streamed the Iron Lung game before
he streamed the Iron Lung game before he made the movie. Yeah, he apparently loved the game so much he wanted to make a movie out of it. And I saw a remarkable story, it's doing very well. And part of the reason for that is because Markiplier's fans actually petitioned a bunch of theaters to carry the film, and they did, based on these fan petitions. I never watched Markiplier's content, or, I don't know, anything about Iron Lung or the game, but, I gotta, commend him, because I think it's a great thing when independent artists can be successful outside of the system.
Well, it's like the Ryan Coogler deal that's, much talked about right now for Sinners, Yeah. You hear about stuff like that and you can only applaud. It's good, make moves to put creators and artistic talent in the forefront and with power and control. That's, whenever that happens, it's a good thing. Well, maybe not whenever, but...
Usually it's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing, but they made that, and I think, it's an interesting premise for a horror movie. So, I mean, it looks interesting. It's definitely got the creepy vibes to it. So, I don't know. It looks cool. Exit 8 looks cool to me.
Yeah, definitely. Now we're going to move on to the last part of this segment, the main part of this episode. We're going to cover the entirety of the Nintendo Partner Direct. Before we even start, though, I just want to get, your general impressions. Let's just give it a score.
Oh, we're doing number scores? 6.
A 6? I'd probably say a 4.
I could go lower, but I feel there's some stuff. Yeah, I think 6 is accurate.
There's a few things that I'm interested in, but not that much. And I don't think it's objectively a 4. I think it's a 4 for me.
There's a good number of games
that
were spotlighted that I'm interested in and would buy, but my issue is they were all known before this direct. It wasn't there were no surprises. There was no oh my god, that's coming. That moment did not happen.
Honestly,
but there's decent stuff.
There's a few games that have been heavily rumored and leaked as being coming to Switch 2 that if they were announced in there would not be a surprise because we'd already heard so much about them coming. That would have pulled up the ranking for me just because the confirmation of them would have been big enough to do that.
I want to bring up the elephant in the room, the biggest, most conspicuous absence from this direct, and that's the Switch 2 port of Elden Ring. Because if you remember, that was announced pretty early on for Switch 2. It had playable demos at trade shows, which people said, the playable demos were rough. It was originally scheduled to release at the end of last year, around November-ish, I believe. And then Bandai Namco announced that they were delaying it. I don't believe they gave a date, but it was kind of assumed it would be kind of a short delay. And I kind of assumed it was going to be coming out first quarter of this year.
There are rumors it might be shadow dropped in this direct.
Yes, it would shadow drop. So I was fully expecting to see it resurface in this direct with a release date. It did not.
Yeah. There are other elephants in this room too. Another one that I heard some people bringing up was Call of Duty.
I don't
think they would do Call of Duty because they haven't announced the new Call of Duty yet.
Yeah, I don't think a Call of Duty is coming to Switch 2 until the end of this year.
Also, I don't think they would announce a Call of Duty in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, true.
I just don't think they would. I think that's going to be at Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's going to be its own announcement, I think.
Yeah, but that's another elephant in the room.
I mean, I don't think that's a huge elephant in the room because that was never confirmed. Elden Ring was a game that we knew was.
Well, I mean, Call of Duty in general is confirmed. That's not the game.
Yeah, not the game, but this was a specific game that we knew. We had playable demos of the game running on the Switch 2. We had a release date previously, so it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah. We're getting our first drop-offs. We have that delayed. We don't know what's going on with that. Then we also had Borderlands 4. Was indefinitely delayed.
Yes. I knew Borderlands 4 was going to be here just because Take-Two said it was indefinitely paused in their earnings. So that's usually code for canceled.
Yeah. Personally, I don't really care. But if there's one of the games that was announced that was going to get canceled, that would be one of the ones I'd be fine with. But yeah, I mean, the games I was really hoping for that were heavily, heavily, heavily rumored, there was no confirmation at all for them, but they were heavily rumored, are Expedition 33 and Metaphor ReFantasia. Neither of those showed up.
I don't think Metaphor is going to show up until they do the metaphor, whatever the hell they want to like call it, with like
I had the exact
like,
same
the
viewpoint.
second version.
I had the exact same viewpoint, but apparently Atlas has come out and said they're not going to do that anymore.
Really?
That they're not going to do like those kind of special edition things like that they used to do. Like those days are apparently over. They haven't shown that to be the case yet.
Well, speaking of metaphor, like, it's interesting. Unless I missed something, Sega was completely absent from this. I think there was Yakuza Kiwami 3 in the Japanese version of the Direct, but not in the North American.
Yes, there was Yakuza Kiwami 3
And that
and
was,
Dark
like,
Ties was in the Japanese Direct.
Only Sega representation in this entire Direct. So Sega was basically absent for this thing.
Yeah.
Which, that's a big third party to, like, be absent, but okay.
Let's roll through this. We're going to go through some of these fast because we're only going to really spend time talking about the ones we give a shit about. We're going to mention everything that was shown there. Starting off with the one that opened the show, Orbitals. That's coming in summer 2026. This was revealed at Game Awards, right? It wasn't Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, the Game Awards.
Yeah, last year's Game Awards. So Orbitals, it's like a co-op, It Takes Two style game, but with like this very cool 80s, early 90s anime aesthetic that they absolutely nailed. Like, I don't know if an anime style has been so thoroughly nailed in a game ever. I think this might be the most thoroughly nailed anime aesthetic in a video game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's a cool
Very cool
aspect
art
of
style.
it. I don't know if I'm going to play this. It's a multiplayer only.
You need a partner.
Yeah. Maybe I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll find somebody who already has it and use Game Share. Who knows? But moving on, we have Paranormal Sight, The Mermaid's Curse. I'm really not familiar with this franchise. The way they introduced it was like, that franchise, Paranormal Sight. And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, Paranormal Sight, it's interesting. It's a graphical adventure game from Square Enix. This is the second game in the series. The first one was released in 2023. I never played it, so I didn't know much about it. I mean, it's cool. I think it's neat. I like these types of games. It looks cool, but like, it's not like anything that's like blows me away. It's kind of like, that's neat.
That's coming on February 19th to 2026. The next game I thought was going to be Inazuma 11 because it's like an anime soccer game. And I was like, oh no, it's the new Inazuma 11, which is like heavily rumored to be heavily AI generated.
Nope.
Turned out not to be. Captain Tsubasa 2.
It's the other soccer anime.
Yeah. This is coming in 2026.
Which is, as far as I understand, this is basically like a shonen anime.
Yeah. Then we got a Switch 2 exclusive in Tokyo Scramble.
Yeah, this one's interesting. This one is,
Dino
like
Crisis.
It's a survival horror game where you're trapped in an underground subway fighting dinosaurs.
They have a different name for them, but they're fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah, they look like raptors. What's interesting about this is it's got like a multiplayer mode, air quotes for the multiplayer, because it's not multiplayer in the traditional sense. It's like
it's single character multiplayer.
It's single character. You're delegating your controls to other players. So you can delegate your character controls to 4 different players. So you have 4 people trying to control the one player character at the same time, which is okay.
It reminds me of 2 things.
Yeah.
So the first thing it reminded me right off the bat was IGN, when Breath of the Wild came out on Switch. They did like a video series where 2 of the guys at IGN played through the game with one person having each Joy-Con.
Oh, interesting.
So they split the Joy-Cons between 2 people and they tried to play the game. One person only controlling movement and the other person controlling all the combat and everything. So it reminds me a little bit of that. It also reminds me of, remember that experiment? And they've repeated this a few times where they did it on Twitch playing like Pokemon.
Yeah, Twitch plays Pokemon, yeah, where they have the computer controlling the Pokemon based on like what people are typing in chat.
Yeah. So this is like kind of has similar vibes to that, and both of those, what they had in common was it's kind of a shits and giggle move.
Oh yeah, it's definitely just for like how chaotic it can get. It's just for chaos. Yeah.
This game is coming on February 11th, 2026, so not far out.
Looks alright. It looks pretty low budget, to be honest.
It is interesting though, this is coming out soon. It's not a shadow drop, but we had no idea this existed at all.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out on February.
It's almost it's interesting. It's also coming out on a pretty crowded month for games, so like good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna beat the other survival horror game that's coming out this month.
Right.
Next, we got Valheim, which is like a Viking multiplayer survival game. This has, I guess, been in early access on Steam for a long time. This was like really popular on PC. It falls into that tree puncher genre of games.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate those games. I hate those games. I saw Valheim and I saw I was like, nope, this is not for me.
Yeah, I have no interest in this either, but apparently this was actually quite popular.
It was like you start the game and it's like, oh, you need a fucking axe. Oh, you need to gather wood. So let's just stand there and punch a tree for 10 minutes. No, I hate those games.
But apparently this was a very popular one in that genre, in the tree puncher genre.
Yeah.
And that's coming this year, 2026. Next, we got
Hollow Knight.
Nintendo Switch 2 edition. This was Shadow dropped.
And the Shadow, it's a free update if you already own Hollow Knight. That's good.
Yeah, it's got all the kind of PC features, so I think wider screen support and 120 FPS.
Let's see, Konami announced the football game. Football, nobody cares.
This looks like so generic. This is the funniest thing about this game is it just looks, the name is generic. The thing was generic. They even had a World Cup, but they called it the International Cup or something.
Yeah.
This is the most generic game. This is just they decided to make a game without FIFA.
Well, it used to be Pro Evolution Soccer, which is Konami's long time successful.
That was still
soccer
licensed
series.
though, so
yeah, it used to be Pro Evolution Soccer, but Konami just recently renamed the entire franchise to eFootball.
Yeah. It's gone generic. They don't have the license anymore. So now it's it's just pathetically generic. Everything about this game is generic.
Well,
it's almost the parody levels.
Well, EA did that too. EA, their soccer games are no longer FIFA licensed. I think they're called instead of FIFA, it's called EA Football Club or something like that.
Yeah, but that's a little bit less generic than this.
Yeah, true, yeah.
This is a masterclass on how to make a generic option.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is that copy of a movie you find at Blockbuster that was made for Blockbuster Video. That came out at the same time as the movie hit the theaters. And it's the ultra generic version of that movie. That's what this is. Coming summer of 2026, I have no idea why they put this in here. This is almost parody.
Because Konami gave them money for it.
Yeah.
That's why. They paid for the spot.
Next we have The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. We learned a little bit more. We got a better trailer. It shows a little bit more. This already has a demo on Switch 2.
This is about time travel, which is
cool.
So
we didn't know that before. It makes sense of the title.
Yep, makes sense of the title. I'm genuinely excited for this game. Again, this is a game we already knew was happening. This wasn't a new announcement, but
there's already a demo. There's been a demo out for a year for this game.
But this is a game I am genuinely excited for, and I can't wait to get. So June 18th.
Don't have that much longer. June 18th.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Super Bomberman Collection. So this is the SNES Bombermans, but also the NES ones apparently too, and some stuff that never came out in the US, I guess.
Yeah, so let me explain this one. I'm excited for this. It said, this was the highlight of the Direct for me. This is oh, okay, yes, we're getting a collection of Super Bombermans. So, Super Bomberman 1 and Super Bomberman 2 came out in the United States on the SNES. Super Bomberman 3 was only released in Europe and Japan, and then Super Bomberman 4 and 5 were only released in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So, North America, Americans only got the first 2, and Europeans only got the first 3, and Japanese players got all 5. Don't know why that was the case back in the day, but now all 5 are releasing globally for the first time on this collection.
And the NES ones.
Yep, and the first 2 NES games, which I'm not a huge fan of the NES Bombermans. I've played NES Bomberman. It's just, it's a very basic game. And NES Bomberman is just extremely basic to the point where it's just boring.
Yeah. That's the case with a lot of NES games when you go back to them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. This is going to be a cool collection. I am down for it. I love me some 16-bit Bomberman. So yeah, I was pretty excited about this.
Coming in August 2026.
I know there are people who are disappointed that this doesn't have the TurboGrafx PC Engine Bomberman games. It doesn't have the Sega Genesis Bomberman game. It doesn't have Saturn Bomberman.
It's still got 7 games in it?
Yeah, it's still got 7 games in it. I know there's a lot of other games people would want it in it. I would have wanted those too, but I still think this is a fantastic
They'll probably just
collection.
make another collection.
Exactly. They're saving those to milk and another collection.
This is what Capcom does with all the fighting collections and stuff.
Yeah.
Capcom wrote the rulebook. They're just following suit. Next up, we got the game that I think for many people was the game of the show. Not for me personally, but for many people, this was the game of the show.
This is the big one people were anticipating. This was the official announcement of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to Switch 2. We knew it was because the director stated that they were doing it ages ago. This was the first formal announcement, but like the director of the series was saying, oh, yeah, we're doing all three on the Switch too.
Yeah. So the rumor is now that the last one is going to be day and date on all versions. So it's not going to come out to PS5, then later to like Xbox and
yeah,
Switch. Like on
Sony doesn't have exclusivity for it.
Yeah. It's also rumored it's coming at the end of this year, the last one, which would make sense because Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, this year on Switch 2 and Xbox, and now Rebirth is coming out on June 3rd this year.
Yeah, sooner than I thought it was. This is the big deal. We actually have a release date for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Switch 2, and it's pretty soon. It's June 3rd. Remake just came out last month on Switch 2. So this is pretty quick turnaround time for getting these games out, to be honest. I don't think the third entry is going to come out until next year. I think that's solidly a 2027 game, but it's still cool to see that. I did buy Remake on Switch 2. I'm very going to end up getting Rebirth when that comes out. So that's another thing I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah. Next I was excited for this one. We already knew about the game. The trailer didn't really show too terribly much new or anything really terribly interesting from it, but we got a new trailer for Pragmata. The important thing here is that they finally released the demo on Switch 2 and other consoles as well. Of course, they didn't mention that because this is a Nintendo Direct, but they dropped previously they had dropped the demo on PC.
This was
now they've dropped the demo for all the consoles.
This was one of the games that was playable at Nintendo's recent hands-on event
It's playable for us.
Yeah, now it's playable for us, yeah. And the initial impression said this ran really great on the Switch 2, 60 FPS in handheld mode and dock.
I heard it can drop to like the high 40s.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit like what I've been hearing from people who have played, because a lot of people played both that and Resident Evil 9 on Switch 2. And what they've said is RE9 is pretty much like rock solid 60.
Nice.
And Pragmata is really good, they said, in handheld mode. You can't even tell because of the VRR.
Nice.
The VRR basically keeps it, even though it's not at a locked frame rate, because it varies, the display can vary the refresh rate, it doesn't matter, it just works. But then on handheld, it can get a little choppy because it'll drop from 60 to the high 50s and even down into the high 40s sometimes. Which, it'd be nice if they just made a locked 40 FPS mode or a locked 30 FPS mode that you could put on. Maybe that's going to happen. We don't know. Maybe, this is just a demo. We still got some time.
Yeah, we still got some time. This ain't coming out till April.
Yeah.
So, it looks cool.
But again, demo is Shadow Drop. Shadow Drop.
Turok Origins was announced coming to Switch 2.
This was a surprise. We haven't heard about this game in 2 years.
Yeah.
And now not only do we hear about it again, but we hear about it in a Nintendo Direct, which it wasn't announced for Nintendo at the time, for anything Nintendo. But this was announced 2 years ago at the Game Awards. Now we finally hear about it again. We get some footage of it. This looks very Doom 2017 to me.
It did, yeah. Very Doom.
They're going for that Doom boomer shooter vibe. Doomer shooter, I should say, vibe.
Yeah, right, yeah. Pretty good direction for Turok to take, I think. I don't know, game looked kind of rough to me, but that's fine.
That's coming in fall
and we
2026.
Got a big one for Falcom fans. The highly anticipated follow-up to Tokyo Xanadu, which is now named Kyoto Xanadu. The latest entry in the Xanadu series, which is interesting. It's like a 2D dungeon crawling action RPG, and then it switches to 3D for battles.
Yeah, it's very Persona influenced, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a weird perspective. It does have this weird kind of 2D side scrolling kind of perspective, and then it switches to 3D, not just for boss fights, but for certain other environmental areas and stuff too. So it's kind of, I don't know, Metroid Other Emmy, I guess.
Yeah, Metroid Other Emmy.
Where it's it's a fully 3D rendered game, but it controls the perspective.
It looks cool. I haven't played Tokyo Xanadu.
I haven't either, but that's coming this summer, 2026 in summer. And then we got a trailer for Digimon Story Time Stranger, which is coming in July 10th, 2026. I really don't care about Digimon.
I'm not interested in, I never got into Digimon when it came out.
Your love of monsters and pockets doesn't extend to the digital kind?
When it came out originally, I just thought, well, they're just blatantly trying to rip off Pokemon.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, this is not for me. So I never got into it. I heard Time Stranger is a good game from people who do Digimon.
Is it like those same people that try to convince you because you like Mario Kart to play Sonic Racing instead?
No.
But that's coming on July 10th, 2026. Next, we got Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok. This was formerly a free-to-play franchise.
So
they've expanded the franchise out. This game was never free-to-play. This game was always a full...
This kind of faked me out, because, when I watched the Direct, I ignored this, because I was like, oh, this is that free-to-play gotcha MMO. I was like, I'm not interested in MMOs. Then, I looked into the game more, and apparently, this is, a standard action RPG. This does have a multiplayer component to it, but it's not a live service gotcha game.
Yeah.
It's you can play this offline by yourself.
It's like you shit on League of Legends, but then Arcane comes out.
Yeah, exactly. So with that knowledge now, I'm kind of more interested. I'm kind of oh, okay, I'm reevaluating this. Apparently, originally Platinum Games was involved in the development of this, but they left development halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Looks interesting.
That's coming July 9th, 2026. We got another game that's, I think, been in every Nintendo 2 Direct, and that's Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. This was first revealed at the Nintendo Switch 2 Reveal Direct.
This is coming out pretty soon. This is coming out next month.
March 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
Not too much more to say about it. We've seen a lot of this game.
The third Monster Hunter Stories game.
Yeah. Then we've got a series of games coming from the Arcade Archives series, but they also expanded that. Now we also have console archives. So they're basically redoing, it's like a spiritual successor to the Virtual Console, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. This is really cool. They announced that Rave Racer, the sequel to Ridge Racer, is coming to Arcade Archives 2. Makes sense. They already released Ridge Racer.
Rave Racer is coming on February 26th.
Yeah, and
they showed Doraemon. They showed a few games that I just don't know, and they didn't name them.
Yeah. They showed Sizzlerilla games. I don't know, and nobody's naming them after the fact. So
they showed Doraemon. That was the only game in this entire Direct that didn't have a date.
Right.
Even a year, anything.
They showed
some of them just had a year, but this
Doraemon
had nothing.
On Famicom, which is interesting. That's gonna be the first time that game's ever been officially released outside Japan.
And then they ended it off with two games that are shadow dropped for console archives, which is Cool Borders and Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. Cool Borders, wasn't that a PlayStation game?
Yeah. So it was an arcade game, and then Sony.
So we got PlayStation Virtual Console on Switch 2.
Oh yeah, somebody bought it and they pointed out when you pull up the controls in Cool Borders on Nintendo Switch 2, it's a PlayStation controller.
It's hilarious.
PS1 controller. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 2, which, you could be oh, well, Ninja Gaiden 2 is on the NES NSO app. It's okay, but this one you can actually own and you don't have to worry about Tecmo removing it from the service.
Yeah. Next, after that, we got a sizzle reel with some surprises in it. Some old stuff that we've seen a billion times, and then a few surprises too. Scott Pilgrim EX. We saw this before. Was this at the Game Awards, or was this at Summer Game Fest or a Nintendo Direct?
This was
20
we've seen
years
this. Ago. Yes.
No, I mean this version, this redone version we've already seen.
Scott Pilgrim EX. This was announced a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's just coming out.
Yeah, but this is coming on March 3rd, 2026. Another Eden Begins Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So I didn't know that this was on the Switch. I was kind of not really aware of this game. I think it was a mobile game or something.
I don't know anything about this game, and I don't think I cared when they showed it. So yeah.
What they showed in the trailer didn't really do anything for me. But then Nintendo started releasing. Yeah, Nintendo started releasing full trailers for some of the stuff that was in the sizzle reel. And I glanced at this one one, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, this is like all staff from Chrono Trigger. And then like I noticed like, oh, there's a sword fighter who's a frog.
It's so weird.
And then it's like time travel storyline. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
It's so weird that they stuck that in a sizzle reel, because like I completely like glazed over it.
Yeah,
I think
too.
like most people watching this would, and I think like it would have gotten more attention if they just showed the full trailer.
Oh, it's funny. I watched somebody reacting to this direct, and there was one of the trailers, I can't remember which one, had like a clock sound, and he got all like freaked out because he thought it was like Chrono Trigger or something. And then this game came up with a sizzle reel, completely flew under his radar. Had no idea.
It's still like super weird that there's no modern version of Chrono Trigger on any console.
Yeah. The most recent version is the mobile and Steam versions.
Yeah, the mobile and PC version, yeah. That itself is like getting pretty old at this point, so.
Yeah. Next we got Reanimal. Again, we've seen this a million times.
Yeah, they just keep showing this. I guess they're just gonna keep writing this till it comes out. Maybe even after it's out, they're just gonna put it in every direct.
Yeah,
February
February 13th.
It'll be 10 years old, and they're still just gonna run the trailer for it.
Yeah, this is coming on February 13th, as is WWE 2K26.
Star Trek Voyager, Disney Dreamlight Valley, PGA Tour. Cul-de-Cept Begins, which is like the card game Cul-de-Cept, which is interesting. Then they showed Goat Simulator 3, Shadow Tactics, and then another curious game that I feel like needed to have more attention on it than just being shoved
into
in
Japan.
Sizzle reel.
It did in Japan, and they did release the actual full trailer for it afterwards. But it was just, for some reason, shoved in the sizzle reel. I don't know why. This is too big of a game to put in a sizzle reel.
Yeah, Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn Edition. This is the latest Tales game that has been released. It's finally coming to a Nintendo system.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Like from what we saw in the trailer, it looks like super polished and clean. Doesn't look compromised at all. I mean, this is a game that was on like PS4 and stuff, so it shouldn't be compromised, but it looks great. I'm excited for this. This is probably the biggest surprise for me of the show. The one I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
That I didn't know about.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by it too. It's nice to see, like, Namco is like really putting a lot of support behind the Switch too. It's nice to see because their support of the Switch 1 was like pretty spotty. So it definitely looks like they're giving the Switch 2 much stronger support.
I think Nintendo's done some work to try to foster a relationship with Namco. Not only has Smash been developed by a studio at Namco since Brawl.
Oh yeah.
They've been like the Smash developers. But not only that, but Namco was supposed to be doing Metro Prime 4. And Nintendo pulled from that, but now Nintendo's bought that studio, apparently.
Yeah, they bought that studio not the first time they bought a studio from Namco.
No, Monosoft was
Monosoft, yeah.
Who's, one of my favorite Nintendo developers.
Still weird that they can't come together with Namco to get like a Xenosaga collection made.
Yeah, maybe they will. There's rumors. Did you see the hiring listing? A voice actor playing the role of Cosmos for like a Xenoblade game or something, it says?
Yeah, but that's most likely like a remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Probably. Yeah. But Cosmos is a Xenosaga character.
Yes. Oh yeah, Cosmos.
It was a crossover, so that's kind of like, if they're bringing in the voice actor, that means they're recording new dialogue. So that shows there's still something going on. There's still some communication about that happening between Nintendo and Namco. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah.
And now we're ending the direct with the stuff that clearly Nintendo thinks is the most important stuff. Clearly, like, this is, like, the biggest, most important stuff. We're ending with, we got a big trailer and spotlight on Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th Resident Evil game, which is coming out at the end of this month.
February 27th, yep.
It's interesting. Nintendo is promoting this game like it's a first-party title. This is getting, like...
a RE9 controller.
They got amiibos.
That's the first new Pro Controller for Switch 2, like the first themed Switch 2 Pro controller. Yeah, the first themed
Pro Controller for Switch 2.
They didn't make a Donkey Kong one. They didn't make a Kirby one. They made a RE9 one.
They're releasing RE9 amiibos.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like the
I think Capcom's keeping Amiibo alive. Like, they're like the only developer supporting it now.
Yeah. And again, like the placement and like, just the time spent on it and stuff. Nintendo's promoting this like it's a first party. Like they made it. This is getting as much promotion as like a Zelda or a Metroid game would get, which is really interesting from that standpoint. Because, yeah, this is a third-party title. This isn't, like, even exclusive to the Switch 2.
A reminder, when this game comes out on Switch 2, it's day and date with the other versions, but on Switch 2, they're also releasing 7 and 8 on the same day.
Yes.
And you can get a package with all of them together.
So Nintendo is, like, really invested in this new partnership with Capcom. You could tell from that. And then the other thing Nintendo is, like, really proud of.
And then they ended on a wet fart.
They ended on a wet fart, yeah. Depending on your taste, this is also clearly like another thing Nintendo is very proud of because they gave the one more thing spot to Todd Howard and Bethesda.
Yeah.
Which
the second Todd Howard walked up, like, I just deflated. And I've watched some reactions of people, and a lot of them also
did you see, like, the Maximilian?
Yeah.
I saw.
You could just see him just completely deflated. That's exactly how I felt.
I just loved the clip because he's just like, ooh, one more thing. And then Todd Howard shows up and, like, he just, like, his eyes closed and you just see him sighing. When Todd Howard popped up, it's like, oh god, Todd Howard jump scare.
But this is for 3 games. This wasn't 1 game.
Yeah, this is 3 games. This is to show.
One we already knew about.
Bethesda
well,
is
2 we already knew about.
Yeah, 2 of them already announced. One of them not.
One of them we'd already seen. So Fallout 4 we not only had heard about, we'd already seen the Nintendo Switch 2 version.
Yes.
In a previous trailer.
And Indiana Jones was announced at the Game Awards.
But we hadn't seen it yet. So this was our first time actually seeing it, which is kind of a big deal because Indiana Jones is one of those games that is ray tracing only.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There is no lighting model that isn't ray tracing based. So this is like, that kind of makes it interesting on a technical level to kind of pay attention to. This is going to be an interesting one to see based on the footage of this, to see like reactions from like Digital Foundry about like, did they replace the engines? Did they put in a regular lighting engine? Are they just using ray tracing? How is the ray tracing looking on it? You know, that's going to be an interesting topic of conversation for like a Digital Foundry video.
I'm pretty positive on all these games because I like Bethesda games. The big one they announced, new one, was the remaster of Oblivion, which they released last year on the other consoles, coming to Switch 2 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that turned out. Oblivion was a game I really, when I got my Xbox 360, that was the first game I got for it. Like, I got really, like, immersed and engrossed in it to the point where, like, I got all the achievements. I love that game. I still haven't played the remastered version. It was a game I kept going to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, maybe I'll get that on Switch too if performance is a junk, but...
Yeah.
And then Fallout 4, but my problem is, these are all old games. It was kind of like...
Well, Indiana Jones is like last year, right? So it's still fairly new.
Yeah, it's a fairly new game. I think that's like the best one. Fallout 4 is very old. That came out like 2013. But
Oblivion's even older.
Oblivion's even older. This is a remaster of that. So it's kind of like Bethesda doing the thing they do where they're just continuously like re-releasing the greatest hits. They're not really producing anything new except for Starfield, which initially I thought this was leading up to like an announcement for Starfield for Switch 2.
Rumored that that's canceled
Switch
too.
2. Yeah,
which like Borderlands 4, if a game's to be canceled on Switch 2, that's one I'd be fine with.
Right. Oh yeah, that's what it'd be. Yeah, by all accounts, like Starfield's not a great game. I lost like a lot of hype for it because it was like, oh okay. Apparently, it's pretty empty of a game. Yeah. I'm not personally hyped for, like, Starfield or anything, but, like, it would be... The Starfield announcement for Switch 2 would have been a pretty big announcement. But this is kind of
Well, it would have been before the game came out.
Yeah.
And
but it's...
everybody.
But it's like, this is just kind of like, oh, yeah, we're re-releasing the greatest hits.
Yeah.
Somehow
I should give dates on those. Fallout 4 is February 24th. Indiana Jones is May 12th. And The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is just a vague 2026.
Even though,
it looks like they're kind of doing beginning, middle, end of the year. So
even though, like, I'm a fan of Fallout, I'm a fan of Elder Scrolls and stuff, it's still, for me, this is like a pretty disappointing one more thing.
A deflating ending, yeah.
Yeah, deflating ending, yeah. I was kind of like, oh, I thought a huge announcement was coming. But again, it's very clear Nintendo is very excited about this partnership that they have with Bethesda, just like they're pretty excited about the partnership they have with Capcom. So, and it's clear that they want to, like, really highlight that. It's like, alright.
So, next up after this, that was the end of the Nintendo Direct, but they had a different one in Japan. They had a few things that were a little bit different. Some stuff that we've already seen, some stuff that's already, like, out or is coming out very soon. And we've seen plenty of stuff for, and we didn't really need anything for it. Some stuff I was able to get the names of, some stuff I was not, because it's in Japanese, and my Japanese isn't good enough to figure all that out. But there's that one franchise that they always show in Japanese directs, that one, like, super deformed baseball game.
Yeah, those games are never coming out here.
Yeah.
Just forget about that.
So, obviously, as they show every time they have a Japanese direct, they have one of those games. That was showing as well. Ganbare Goemon collection. That's a little disappointing.
That's disappointing. Here's the thing. I was thinking about it. On one hand, like, I understand, like, the Goemon games are, like, very steeped in, like, Japanese culture and, like, referential to, like, Japanese culture.
You shouldn't
in
shy
general.
away from that, though. Expedition 33 is steeped in French culture, and look how popular
No,
that
yeah,
is.
I don't think, like, I understand, like, that was, like, probably the reason the games weren't localized in the first place earlier. But then, like, another reason is, like, it's 13 games, and one of those games came out in
it's just a lot of translation work, yeah.
It's a lot of localization work. And I was thinking about further, they could be planning to bring it out, but there's just so much localization work that they can't, like, announce it. It just wouldn't be able to release it simultaneously in Japan and other
Just start up a
markets.
deal with some outside translation and then, like, limited run or something.
Yeah.
And just do, like, a partnership between those three groups and let that game come out here.
But if that's, like, forever Japan exclusive, that will be sad, because that is a collection I would love to see those games officially localized in English and brought out.
Alright, next, there was a game called Damon and Baby. I didn't really understand much of what was going on there.
That's a game that was announced last year by Arc System Works. It's like a platform game. So it's a little different from
it's kind of like almost a Nippon Ichi vibe to it. Like, not gameplay wise, but like art style wise and stuff.
Yeah, art style wise, yeah. They talked about, like, on the Arc System Works stream last year. It's very different to, like, what Arc System Works usually does, which is fighting games. So, yeah, it looks cool. It's definitely coming out in the West. They have an English page for it, so this isn't Japan exclusive or anything. I don't know why it wasn't in the US Direct.
Then there was an indie style looking RPG called Off. I've never heard
about that.
There was a musical action game. I could not decipher the title at all, but it was an action game that used music or something. It looks kind of interesting. Nothing on that I can give. There was another game called Kazuma Kaneko's, and then the rest of it was just in Japanese and I couldn't read it. So I don't know the full name. I only know the first part of the title. There's another game called Constance that looked like something I might have seen before but didn't remember. I'm not sure. They had a trailer for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which of course is demo out for right now.
No, the game is out right now.
Oh yeah,
it's the 5th. The game launched today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the game is out now. There's also a demo if you're not sure about it.
That's cool. I think, like, nobody needed a trailer for that. Yeah.
Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties, which we mentioned previously, also was shown here, was not in the one. That's when you mentioned the only thing that Sega did related to this direct.
Yes.
Then that Fatal Frame remake, is it Fatal Frame 2, the butterfly one? That we already know about. We know it's coming.
So, yeah.
Here.
It's already been announced. It's already coming west, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was some really weird looking stylish 2D RPG of some sort that I couldn't make out the title for either.
Yeah, that's not allowed to go off of.
Yeah. It's one of the last things in the direct though. So, I mean, if you watch through the Japanese direct and you see this really weirdly stylistic RPG looking thing that has a fully Japanese name that's indecipherable, to me, that's it. Again, I tried to do some research on these and look up. I couldn't find really any information at all. I just had to watch the trailer and copy what I could. But that's the Japanese direct, and so that's all of it. As you said, you gave this a 6. I gave it a 4. I still stand by my 4.
Nothing terribly exciting. I mean, there are games there that I'm definitely going to get. Like, obviously,
at least it was short. At least it was like a half hour. It wasn't like watching like a 4-hour Sony event that was really disappointing or something.
Where Konami announces eFootball, and then they have like the developers for eFootball come out and talk about it for like 10 minutes.
And then they do a gameplay demo.
Yeah. I love the snappy, let's just get on with it pace of Nintendo Directs, so.
Yeah. I kind of wish they were still doing what they used to do, which is they would have a Nintendo Direct and then follow it up with like a treehouse.
Yeah.
I think that would have been cool, especially like for some of these weirder ones that we don't really know as much about.
I think they only do that like for like the summer directs.
Yeah, but it would be cool if they did that for more. Like, it would be really cool. You know what's a good example? Is there was a game that you kind of were dismissive of, even though it was survival horror. 4, Tokyo Scramble. It's a Switch 2 exclusive. Maybe there's something to that game that's interesting. That would have been, if there is, that would have been a good spot to do like a Treehouse, you know?
Oh, yeah, do a Treehouse. Do like a demo of that, yeah.
So that's a little disappointing, but there's rumors now that there's like a general Nintendo Direct coming soon, too.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Because I think, like, Nintendo, there's still questions about Nintendo's first-party slate. I think they're in a good place, but I think we gotta talk more about first-party. I think we need more information about Fire Emblem that they announced at the last in general. So, like,
about Splatoon Raiders.
I would be, Splatoon Raiders, which we know nothing about. So
we just got a Vibes trailer for that.
We just got a Vibes trailer. So Nintendo has to talk about their own software at some point.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict next month, March, we're going to get general, just because at the end of this month there's Pokemon Day and the Pokemon Presents.
I'm hoping, just for like our podcast schedule wise, because we have a 25th anniversary episode coming up, or we do every 25 episodes, we do like an anniversary episode, and we have one of those coming up. I'm hoping we don't have to like reschedule shit around that. That would be kind of a logistical headache for me.
When Nintendo does these things like a partner direct or an indie world, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be a general direct.
Oh, they've done them like the same week.
They've done them, they've done them back to back before, you know,
so. They did one, what was it, like an indie world and a direct mini that were like the same show.
They're the same
cut into two parts, And then they've done one where they did like I think it was a partner direct or a mini direct or something, and then they had like less than a week later, they had a general direct.
Basically, it's just what Nintendo's marketing plan is for that quarter. It's down to that. So I do think there's going to be a general direct relatively soon. I don't think like this is everything. So
yeah, but that's it for our news segment, our Nintendo coverage of the direct and everything. We unfortunately have a segment we like to do the least of all of our segments that we have to do at the end of this show, and that's because we've lost somebody influential. We don't do this every time somebody famous dies. We do this when it's somebody that's kind of just influential that we need to talk about. And that happened this week with Catherine O'Hara, who passed away. She was the mom in Home Alone. She was in Beetlejuice. She was the voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas. She was the mom in Schitt's Creek with the really weird intonation in her voice. Just a fabulous comic actress. As you mentioned before the show, goes all the way back to SCTV.
Yeah. She was like one of the OGs.
And she's been active up till recently, so her passing just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked because I've seen her in recent stuff too. The new Beetlejuice movie that came out, the sequel. You know, she was just in season 2 of The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. You know, she was still popping up in a lot of places, you know, I don't want to say like everywhere, but she seemed like she was still very active. So like,
they haven't released the full details about what happened, and that's their right to have their privacy on that. They did say it was a short illness. So it was like, it wasn't like she was secretly battling cancer the whole time and we didn't know about it. It was a quick...
She did suffer. It's very sad loss. She gave so much to the world, so much humor and joy. Certainly,
so much originality from her characters too.
Certainly from my perspective, you know, because I saw the original Beetlejuice. I saw her wonderful performance in that. Her performance in Home Alone. Her character was like,
of Kevin.
Her
Home Alone is like
a
legendary line, you know.
Her character was the heart of that movie.
Yeah,
her character was like the heart of that film.
Yeah, I mean that's like her just saying Kevin when she realizes he's gone is probably one of the most iconic moments in film history. Not just like for that movie, you know. If you were to put together like a quick assortment of clips from like the most iconic moments in movies, like her screaming Kevin when she realized that he was left behind in Home Alone would be on that list.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, very sad. R.I.P. to Catherine O'Hara. And next week, unless there's a surprise Nintendo Direct, which we are not planning for, we are going to be talking about Fallout Season 2. So stay tuned for that. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on those platforms. He is at Hero. You can check out our website, thetotaliscreen.blogspot.com. If you open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes there, scroll down to the bottom paragraph to find all the links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, our YouTube channel. Everything's all there, so you can find that. You can also subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast client of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of this podcast, as well as additional content, is available on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.